I'd like to call this meeting to order for the regular session of the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors for June 6, 2023. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Hall.
Here.
Little.
Here.
Schwartz. Here. Trelka.
Here.
Leyland.
Here. Thank you. Would everyone please join us for a moment of silence as we reflect on our actions today? Thank you. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1 is the agenda received as proposed or amended, and we've asked, the engineer's office has asked us to remove item 8B, which is regarding the 28E agreement. There was, I believe, some language on insurance and indemnification that wasn't clear or wasn't included, and they wanted another week or so to take a look at that, so.
Okay. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is received. Public comments. Is there anyone in the audience today that would like to comment on something that is not on today's agenda? Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to comment on public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to claims and payments. This is a resolution that the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures and that the county auditor be authorized and directed to issue checks against the various settlement of such claims as allowed. Is there a motion? Or do
So
I-
moved. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Michelle?
Good morning, Board. Our total payments today are $310,612.95. And of that, we are paying for some Office 365 software for $33,265. And there's also a fairly large payment to Boulder Contracting, the $88,322.01 that I think we talked about approving last week. We also are making a payment of $183.84 from the Sheriff's 6040 fund, and everything appears to be in order.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Michelle? Hearing none, please answer as your name is called.
Hall.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Trelka.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 4 is a presentation on Grow Solar Community by Jessica Maldonado, I might have mispronounced this, Maldonado, and Patrick Snell of the Nature Conservancy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's see here. Perfect. Can everyone see that all right?
Yes, very well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much to Supervisor Schwartz and all of you for having us here today. I'm joined by my colleague Patrick Snell as well. And my name is Jessica Maldonado. I'm a communication consultant here with the Nature Conservancy. And we just wanted to share a little bit about the Grow Solar program that's coming to Blackhawk County in the Cedar Valley area. But before we launch into the program, just a couple of very basic information and facts about solar in Iowa. It's a really exciting time for solar in Iowa. It employs more than 1,000 people, supports 100 businesses throughout the supply chain. I think the most exciting part is that it really benefits both rural and urban Iowa. There's projects in all 99 counties. It's spurring economic impact all across the state, impacting, property tax and local revenue and capital investment, which is super exciting. But what I think for local communities, that last fact on there, Zillow actually reports that homes with solar sell for 4.1% more on average than comparable homes in the same community. So I think it's also a great way for homeowners to reinvest in their homes, which also adds great value to the community as the value of that housing stock continues to increase. So it's really a win-win for everyone. And just a quick touch on how it also benefits the energy grid at large. Locally generated solar really helps provide more affordability and reliability to the grid overall. It lowers some of those transmission costs, helps shave off that peak energy demand during the hottest days of the summer when solar is performing the best, really helping keep some of those demand charges for utilities under control. So it can be a great tool for utilities as well. And that local generation really helps bring additional value to the community. So we always just want to touch on the benefits to the utility and the grid overall, knowing that there's a lot of utilities represented throughout the county as well. Can help avoid some of those costly upgrades to lines and transformers, really reducing that overall cost of delivering electricity for everyone. So just wanted to kick off with a few quick solar facts there. And then I'm actually going to turn it over to Patrick to talk a little bit more about the basics of a Grow Solar program.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Patrick Snell. I'm the Climate and External Affairs Associate for the Nature Conservancy. And I've had the luck to work with Jessica on these programs for 5 years now. It's been a really fun journey. We started that first program in these photos here you can see in Cedar Rapids. And we weren't really quite sure what the enthusiasm would be behind it. But it turns out there are a lot of residents, a lot of businesses who have seen solar on their neighbor's house, on that business down the street, and they want to make an informed decision. You know, they want to make sure that they know both all the pitfalls and benefits of solar and make sure they have a good understanding. And then on the financial side, we offer this group buy program as a way to do a bulk purchasing. So the Solar Group Buy program is an educational series where homeowners and businesses come together as a community to install solar at reduced prices. So we work to overcome that logistical side. So again, how to work with your local utility, how to work with permitting with your city, what insurance you need to think about, what panels you need to think about, all those pieces. We turn it into a turnkey educational series to provide a resident or business with the tools they need. And then as a bulk purchasing, what we do is we say, what if we had 5 homes go solar? What if we had 10 homes? What if we had 100 homes, 3 churches, and 6 businesses? That's all done in kilowatts. But through that bulk purchasing, we then negotiate a volume discount that usually averages about 10 to 15% the market rate as what a resident could get on their own in Blackhawk County, for instance. Next slide. So we thought we'd give a quick demonstration. This is the Grow Solar Polk County program. We just completed phase 1 of it, and we had so much success around it. And then with new interest from the Inflation Reduction Act, the federal bill that was passed, and the extension of the solar tax credits, they are redoing the program. And actually, we've just launched the Grow Solar Polk County program about a week ago. So that'll be going on kind of in tandem with what we had hoped to be the Grow Solar Cedar Valley program taking place a little later this fall. For these programs, they're a no-cost program, but what brings success to it is a whole host of partners. So on that, on the logos you see here, we want to bring credibility to it. And I think that's why Blackhawk County would be a great partner for this program. We've worked with many counties in the past. We actually have Polk County, not on. Well, I got to update that one. It'll be on. Polk County is a partner for this program, and as well as we worked with county conservation, some different public health county agencies. But we want to bring a whole host of partners together so that we can raise awareness. And when we host those educational events, we can make sure we're impacting as many people as possible. Next slide. But from these programs, again, with that enthusiasm, that's what led Jessica and I to keep working on this over the last 5 years, is we keep seeing a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. This last program, last year we did with Polk County, that was 432 kilowatts of solar, which equates to about 52 property owners and $1.2 million in private investment. That's a big, boom in the area, as well as what the cities love to see and the counties love to see is during that time, we got 10 local media news stories as well, highlighting the program, the educational series, as well as some fun success stories, either through businesses or churches who, have thought about that as an opportunity. And then when this educational series was provided, it made it an easy kind of turnkey system for them to participate in. Next slide. So why Cedar Valley? Kind of some things we've mentioned about. It's an innovative leadership opportunity. This is a no-cost program. How we operate this program is it's just community-led and impacted. So when we were working on the Jackson County program, a county on the eastern side of Iowa, we were connected with a couple of local residents in Waterloo and Cedar Falls who said, hey, you should come here. We would love to have a program. And actually, we've been thinking about solar in our house. One of them has done solar, I should say, but the other one wants to do it and said, you should come and we can help you organize and look about outreach. We have some connections with CEEE, who is a partner on this program, as well as Green AmeriCorps, who will be a partner on this program. And so with that community-led piece, it's a no-cost program. It'll be a no-cost program for Black Hawk County. But it's a good innovative way to have a sustainability program or opportunity. The other two pieces, the economic development, as we said, we see great numbers with this. There's a lot of people who've been on the fence thinking about solar for a while. And this is an opportunity to kind of leverage those federal dollars on a very much private business or private resident focus. So there is a 30% cost share for all residents or businesses interested in it, as well as depreciation and some other businesses for benefits for businesses interested as well. And the last piece, local enthusiasm. We end up just getting a lot of fun events, a lot of excitement around it. We average about 18 people per event at the educational series. And we love to host them either in some of the city buildings or other places where we can generate enthusiasm and bring people out into the community. Next slide. So what are we asking for today? Today we, in bringing credibility to that program, we have a whole host of things that lend to success of the program. With really that first one on the list kind of being the essential ask for today, which would be the use of the logo, the Black Hawk County logo, and communication channels to market the program. Right now, we are kind of in the advisory phase, trying to gain those partners before we decide where we want to operate the program. And we found it's really helpful to have these conversations early on to both get the support of municipalities, of county organizations, of the county, local nonprofits, all connected so that when we launch the program, we can ask, can you put us in your calendar? Do you have an email listserv that you could add the program to? Do you have a communications specialist who uses Facebook, Instagram, any social media platform that you could reshare the program information? So number one is the big ask for today. We are also partnering with the city of Waterloo, who just endorsed the program. I think was it last week, Jessica?
Sorry, 2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago,
its
okay.
Official resolution, yep.
And so we're excited, and they're going to be a good example where they passed a resolution that wouldn't be required, but we do, if you want to pass a resolution, that's a fun way to solidify support. But the use of logo and communications channels is the essential one. And then with the other 5, we add those as beneficial things. If you have a staff person who has an interest in thinking about distributed clean energy, both at the county level or just how it can empower residents and businesses, we would welcome them to join our advisory team, which we will work through to select a installer. We'll do a competitive RFP process to get that bulk discount when we choose an installer. Number 3 would be use of county facilities to host community outreach meetings. If you have a great place, maybe where you all are sitting today, that can be a great location to host it. We usually do a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation, followed by questions with the local utility and the chosen installer at that event. Number 4 would be review and potential streamlining of the solar system installation permitting process. That's more connected with work we'll be doing with Cedar Falls, Waterloo, as well as all the other municipalities within Black Hawk County that we're connecting with to make sure that process is smooth. But if there are any permitting processes that you would like to think about, we do offer that as a service as well. Jessica and I, as well as our team, have a lot of technical assistance in code writing and some other pieces that could be beneficial. Number 5, yes? I thought there was a question. Number 5, consideration of solar projects for county facilities. If you are thinking about projects, we again would be more than happy to help think through that. Again, we offer that consumer safety and guidance for residents and businesses that also extends to counties. So if you are, we would offer that as a resource to you. And then last, sharing the success of the program. Hopefully, just like Polk County, Jackson County, Warren County, Dallas County, we hope to see the same in Black County, be able to share the success of the Grow Solar program with other counties. And with that, I'll open it up for questions or comments from the board.
Great. I'll point one thing out. Thank you both, Jessica and Patrick, for being here with us today. The county actually has 7 of our buildings are completely solar. We made that investment a few years ago. And at that same time, we did have a similar program brought to us, but we turned it down because it was being led by a company that we were going to be potentially considering taking bids from. And I believe that you can confirm that your process is that this isn't being driven by a solar company. This is just by the collection of organizations, and you actually do go out for competitive bids on who would be the solar installer, correct?
Yep, that's all correct. And, I think from the success of this program, we've had some businesses who have tried to mimic the educational series, but this is led by only by nonprofits, municipal or county agencies.
And I would propose that we put a resolution on next week confirming our support. But
Just support of the program?
Yeah,
Is what you're
support for the
thinking of, just
program.
For the program and going forward. Does anybody else have questions or comments or anything either of the speakers would like to add?
I've got a couple of questions.
All right.
I believe in solar. I think it's a good thing. But I guess when you drive around, you don't see it on any residential homes. I mean, you'd have to drive blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks to see if there's even one home. And in all reality, too, you don't see it on that many businesses, especially the older buildings. Is it a cost factor, or like for residential areas, the lots aren't that big nowadays, and it takes up so much room, and then a lot of people don't like it on their roof. So what do you think the reason is why you don't see it on residential homes or really a lot of businesses?
Yeah, one thing we kind of see with solar, which is interesting, is on for businesses in particular, you often don't see the panels on the businesses. I think it is growing. We don't see as much growth in the Cedar Valley yet. And I think that is just, from local installers or others getting into the market there. But when they do have it, and I know we've talked to a couple of businesses in Blackhawk County who have solar, no one really knows it's on their building. You can't see it when you drive around. It's just on, the flat roof space above. So I think that is one piece. And then on the second piece, from that financial aspect, unless you are a bigger business, it's harder to figure out the process on your own for installing solar. It's a big investment. And unless you have a personal motivation to figure it out, although the financial aspects can be a very good return on investment for someone with cash or access to get a loan for solar, it ends up being a big commitment, just like shopping for another car or something. It takes time to think through it.
Yeah, we have currently the county spent not quite $1 million, but close to $1 million. And the majority of that was spent on one of our buildings, the Pinecrest building. It took, if you ever drive by there, and maybe you have, it took a huge portion of the land out back. It took substantially. As far as our small garages, it probably wasn't that big of a deal. But I think another thing too is the payback is about 25 years. And a lot of homeowners and even businesses nowadays, that's kind of a stretch, 25 years to be in one place.
That-
And I think that can be a deterrent, but solar's been around for quite a while, in all honesty, and it's just, you just don't see it anywhere, other than the county did it, and you see some newer businesses, but other than that, you just don't see it on residential.
Just a point of accuracy, the payback period on our county projects is more like 7 years and less. So it's just want to make sure we're being accurate about our investments.
The full amount is 7 years, or how much payback in 7 years, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I know that you were opposed to it and you put out a lot of misinformation throughout the whole process, but you're just wrong, Tom.
Well, I'm not, I wasn't against it.
Yeah, you voted against
the
it.
biggest concern for me was the $1 million, close to $1 million. I think it was 700,000-800,000. That's always been my concern on any project, is the dollar, because it's not our money. And but I'm not against solar. And but I guess I question again, when you say 7 years, what's that mean? 7 years? Our investment's going to, I guess I don't understand that. I'd appreciate it if you'd explain it to me.
It means we will have had enough cost share from both the DHS cost share and utility savings to have paid the panels off.
Huh, 700, 800,000. Okay, take your word for it.
You don't have
know
to.
more about it. Seems like you know more about it than the rest of the board.
Oh, I know more about it than you do, that's for sure.
Well, that's kind of a rude statement, really.
Oh, you're a
That's-
rude guy, Tom.
That's a fellow colleague up there at a board meeting saying that.
Well, maybe
When
that's,
I was trying to be sincere and ask some good, honest questions, not only for me, but for the public out there. But
and
apparently you don't want to have an honest discussion.
That's not true, Tom, and I apologize for being rude.
maybe that is something we should have on an agenda here soon. I was going to say Roy's always pleased to update us, I guess, on where we're at and where those bills are and how they're coming in and how good they were. I was going to say they'd improved so much, so that'd be good to have an update on that, maybe, Rory.
I'm excited about the prospects of this Grow Solar conversation. We might lag a little bit when it comes to community support for our community engagement with solar thus far, but I think it really is a really good opportunity for our county government to help lead and help lead a conversation with local business community as well as residents. So I would echo Chris's sentiment about getting either a resolution or something on a soon to be created agenda so that we can lend our support to the effort.
And it looks like a major component of this is education, and
Yeah.
that seems to be a big piece of what's maybe missing
Use
in the
of county
community.
buildings for meeting space sounds great. I think it's a good opportunity for us.
Sure. Have them out to Pinecrest,
Yeah.
where the solar panels are located. Great. Well, are there other questions or comments, or, okay, super. Well, I want to thank you both, Jessica and Patrick, I was going to say, for being here in the presentation and bringing it to our community as well. So thank you for your time and effort.
Yes. Thank you all for having us today.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 5, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials.
Morning, Board. Ryan Brennan, Assistant County Engineer. Several things going on throughout the county. Obviously, our secondary roads crews are out doing just several different things for maintenance. A lot of roadside mowing going on. They're still currently doing some blading of the granular roads as well as spreading rock. With that, we also have several construction projects going on. We just finished up some bridge deck patching out on Osage Road. That was just opened up yesterday. We still have some bridge deck patching going on out on Zanetta Road over Blackhawk Creek. And our paving project out on Washburn Road should continue as well here tomorrow.
Thank you. Any questions?
Good morning, Board. Amanda Fezemeyer, HR Director. So I have a couple updates here I just want to share. First, the Wellmark implementation for the health insurance is moving on target. So we were able to get out the initial enrollment of about 900 members, so that's employees and their dependents, on time, which was last Friday, following the open enrollment, which ended on May 31st. And we will be sending out information to staff as everybody will be receiving new insurance cards for July 1, and they will be having a health insurance card, which will be Wellmark, and a pharmacy benefit card, which will be Navitus, and that's different than what we currently have right now. Those are on one card. So just wanted to give an update on that, and then we'll be sharing more information as that continues to move through the implementation process. We also had an update on the classification and compensation study. The consultants were very pleased with the custom survey and all the participation from counties, cities, municipalities, school districts, higher education institutions, and utilities and other municipality type organizations. So I will expect that we'll have more for the board next month on that classification and compensation study. If you recall, during the budget sessions, I had discussed that our applicant tracking software would be changing this fiscal year, or next fiscal year. And Al, you and I have sourced quotes to make that change, as our current system, Civic HR, is not going to be supported anymore. So we'll likely be bringing forward a recommendation for that probably in the next week or two. So, and lastly, policy review. So I need to quit stalling on this and just get us together. I'd like the policy review committee to meet either next week or on June 20th, so next Tuesday or the following Tuesday. That would include Supervisor Schwartz and Supervisor Little, as well as our auditor, Mike Trinan, Brian Williams, and myself. So I'll be sending out an agenda about that. One thing, we have a purchasing policy or capital asset. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's been a purchasing policy proposed, and that was circulated roughly a year ago for review by others. There may even be some more tweaks we would propose by this meeting.
And then there's, I'd like that meeting to cover just a discussion about how we can meet more on a quarterly basis and have a schedule of review of different policies. A lot of the policies come out of the employee handbook and the non-bargaining policies, but there are then board policies that our office doesn't typically get involved in. But that's just so as long as either June 13th or June 20th works for everyone, I plan to have that after the board meeting. And one policy that I will be presenting to update is in regards to the non-bargaining accrual benefits for those that were hired after 2006. It's come to my attention as we've hired a lot of new employees, and we've also promoted several employees from bargaining unit to non-bargaining, that accrual plan is significantly different than most of our other positions around here. So I've asked to work with the auditor's office payroll team to really do a comprehensive analysis of that, to bring it to the policy review to have a just more fair accrual process or accrual plan that matches all of the positions throughout the county. So that's what I've got. Thank you.
Another busy month.
Yes, it's been busy. All right.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Is there anyone on Zoom? Any department heads or elected officials that would like to provide an update?
I just have one question for Amanda.
Oh, sure. Sorry, Tom.
Amanda, when do you expect to bring before the board a plan or process for the upcoming negotiations with our labor attorney?
When to have like a discussion with the board?
Yeah, just
Sure.
kind of set the direction or the wishes of the board on where we'd like to head.
So the unions have to recertify in October. So we'll likely have a meeting after we know that they definitely recertify. But it will be at least kind of, my plan is to have some sort of survey for the management roles or department heads, elected officials, to kind of gather some input as to what's working well with the contracts, what's maybe some of their challenges that they're seeing, whether that's in how things are administratively done, or whether it's time off, or whether it's retention, recruitment. and then bring that with Galloway to kind of get an idea of what he's seeing out there in the field of contract negotiations. So I would anticipate probably October would be about the time, unless it's requested that we do something that he be up here sooner.
When does negotiations actually start?
They usually start in December. It's about the
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll ask again, is there any department heads or elected officials on Zoom that would like to give an update?
So good morning, board. My name is Orlando Lovelace, the Director of Blackhawk County Veterans Affairs, and I just had a couple things to share. First off, the 79th anniversary of D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion, started today. And that's ironic that the honor flight is going to DC today, and they return tonight on D-Day. So we look forward to welcoming those veterans back into Waterloo sometime tonight after visiting all the monuments in DC. Just like to say a special thanks to Experience Waterloo, in particular the director, Supervisor Tavis Hall and his staff. We have the Warrior Expedition, 6 veterans who are making a bike ride from DC to Washington State. They're going to stop in Waterloo based off of our success we've had the last 3 years. Waterloo has become one of their placeholders to come in to be fed with Iowa tenderloins and get the Iowa nice. And Tavis and his staff have made an overall exception to provide the lodging in support of that as these veterans refuel and recharge themselves as they make their transit on throughout the Great American Trail. In that standpoint, just special thanks to Tavis and his group for doing that in support of that. Our picnic started last Thursday with our oldest veteran on Thursday was 95 years old, and we look forward to doing that the rest of the summer. Just had an opportunity to speak at Ottawa, Illinois for the UAW Veterans Group this month, and just recently received another invite. They want me to go up to Michigan to the international site for the UAW to kind of speak again about the PACT Act and veteran benefits. Just caught off surprised by that, but I guess veterans are very interested in that standpoint, so good thing there. And then again, a tremendous month for veterans with Memorial Day, with the Veterans Way kickoff, the bridge that's going to start off every night with red, white, and blue. How patriotic that is. We thank the mayor and all of those who are in charge of that for setting the standard in a sense. I got a chance to go to Ottawa and also to Marshalltown, and they have a Veterans Way also. Their banners are a little larger than the ones we have, but now Waterloo is on the map with allowing veterans to put a face with a name, and we look forward to that growing year by year. In fact, me and my wife both have banners. We're one of 46 of the, I guess, plank owners of putting the banners up on 4th Street from Sullivan Memorial Museum all the way to East High. And in particular, we had a veteran stop in, and his dad is a veteran that has got a banner. His dad was a graduate of East High and also a boxer. And it just out of coincidence that the Exchange Club put his dad right there on the corner of Walnut and East 4th, right in front of the Waterloo Boxing Club and behind East High. And he was just appreciative of that standpoint. We have our commissioner meeting tomorrow, and we have 2 candidates for the open commission spot. And so we look forward to that tomorrow. And then recently on Memorial Day, right after our parade, I got a call where we had a homeless veteran that we had to put up for 2 days in Motel 6 in that standpoint. Again, I'd like to thank my staff because it was a tremendous month for us, not just in our numbers of production, but in everything else that they allowed me to participate in, from spending 4 days in the cemetery to all the different various veterans events that went on throughout this month. So that's just a short note of what we're doing here, and June doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon with our 6 warriors coming in and a few other things that we have later for the month. Standing by to address any questions or concerns.
Yolando, this is Supervisor Hall. Just a really quick heads up. You mentioned World War II. There is an opportunity. I'm going to forward it to you. I just got it here yesterday about an opportunity for us to partner with local institutions and the city of Waterloo. There's a World War II American Heritage City program from National Park Service. So be on the lookout for that one here in the next, probably as soon as the meeting's over here.
Sounds good.
Just to
sir.
add on to your June, sorry.
Questions? Anyone else on Zoom that would like to make an update? All right, hearing none, thank you for those updates. Item 6, minutes approved for May 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Item 7 is the consent agenda. The following items are acted upon by a single resolution, and there is an item on the 3 items that anyone would like to discuss.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Contracts and agreements. Item A, resolution that the lease agreement between Blackhawk County and the City of Waterloo for the Waterloo Leisure Services Commission to manage Cloverdale Park for public use as a park with emphasis on a picnic area, baseball diamond, and general play field area in the amount of $3, which is $1 per year, effective July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2026, be approved and direct the chair to sign.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Yeah, Mr. Hudding. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul Hudding, Leisure Services Director. You'll be happy to know I have $3 cash.
Wanted to point that out. All right.
Just wanted to thank everyone who worked with me on this, Debbie in the Supervisor's office, and Michael helped with it. We do this every 3 years, and your chair and I spoke just briefly about the possibility, and we've talked about this over the years, of transferring ownership to the city. I realize that there's a county garage near there, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. I'm happy to come see you every 3 years, but just something we could discuss. We do have a park, Ray Tiller Park, just a couple blocks away, and that's about the same size, it's about 5 acres, and have talked with the planning office about developing that into expanding the residential community in that area. So that would be kind of an added benefit if we would do that. But for now, we're happy to move forward with the lease. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy.
No, I don't think so. And Mr. Trinan did review it, so I knew there was probably no questions or issues.
None at this point.
You still have that $3?
How long have we done this? We've done this for quite some time.
1977.
Okay, just a little while.
And that was
I knew it
actually before I was working for this. Thank
Okay,
you all.
I knew it had been a while. Thanks very much. If there are no further questions or comments, please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. And we're tabling item B. We're moving on to item C, resolution that the best proposal received from ARCA Search for the Auditor's Transfer Book Digitization Project funded through the American Rescue Plan Act at a cost of $47,679 with a second-year hosting fee of $3,672 be approved as recommended by the Project Review Committee.
So moved.
Second.
And moved and seconded. I was going to say, is there anyone that wants to speak to this grant?
Yeah, I'd like to give a little background on it.
Thank you.
This is an ARPA project, but it's also something that's kind of in line with a trend of digitizing records. And there's a company, COT Systems, that has done that for the Recorder's Office and some records in the Elections Office. And so they were a bidder, but we obviously didn't want to immediately award the bid to them. And we put out an RFP, and there were 3 responses. And so we scored the responses, and the scores came out very close, especially if we didn't put the cost in the scoring, because it was a kind of apples to oranges kind of cost breakdown, where the cost for COT was $87,220. But they had a relatively low annual hosting fee. I guess, Tim, remind me of that number if you have it handy.
300, oh, go ahead.
Tim Jamison, Systems Real Estate Tax Manager, was $360 a year.
Yeah, and then
At least for the first year. We don't have a guarantee for.
right, and then ArcaSearch had a much lower upfront cost of $47,679, but their annual hosting fee was. If I didn't have one, did you expect me to have the other?
3672,
Yeah,
3672.
here it is, $3,672. So that, you have to decide which situation you like better. If we go with the lower upfront cost, then after about 12 years, we would catch up with the cost of the upfront cost of COTS systems. So we felt that on the whole, like I said, they were very close. ArcaSearch scored slightly higher than COT, I think, in our composite. And so we're recommending them, but if the board feels that you would rather have the higher upfront cost with the lower annual cost, once again, those are not guaranteed over time. We would understand if you would prefer that. So our recommendation is ArcaSearch, but we're open to discussion.
And there was no guarantee on those hosting fees anyway, correct?
There's no guarantee
On any cost,
given
I guess.
in their responses to our RFP. It's something that could be discussed in coming to an agreement with a contract.
In the future, like say at a future.
Well, we don't have a contract yet, so we could put that as part of the contract, that this annual fee would last so long. Jim?
I did ask all the bidders if they were open to negotiating longer-term hosting fee arrangements, and they all said they were. What those would be, I don't know,
Yeah.
but they were all open to that. And depending on who you select, I think we'd want to discuss that. With COT being part of the recorder system, we'd kind of be tied in with that negotiation for any ongoing hosting fees. I think that expires in about a year. So
Could you, restate the COT annual fee, the hosting fee?
$360 was the second year hosting fee. Both of the companies were waiving the first year hosting fee. COTS was then $360 for the second year, and ArcaSearch's was $3,672.
I know
It would take 12 years if those costs were static over the life of this, 12 years before they would break even.
Yeah, which is unrealistic for us to probably assume that they would do something 10 or 12 years, but not to say that they wouldn't. But I know just ballparking it when you looked at 10 years, when I looked at 10 years out and the current cost for the service plus the hosting fees, then you ended up with an $87,220 versus a $123,220. So it still becomes the ArcaSearch, if that's the best product at those dollars. I said their fees are considerably less. So it was, unless there were strong arguments for using COD, it didn't seem like the product itself was what scored highly.
As I said, scoring other aspects, they came very close to each other. So I wouldn't want to say that we think that ARC is a significantly superior product.
Oh, no, I wasn't asking for superior. Just that was the choice. That was the recommendation of the review, subject to what the cost hosting fees were, correct? Well, if there's an argument for, I guess, supervisor to go with a different, recommendation, I think we'd go with the review.
Yeah.
Tom, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I think that's great. Good information.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to the review committee, but, okay, great. So there was a motion and a second? No more questions or comments, please answer as your name is called.
Drelka?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Little?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Leyland?
Yes. Thank you. Other business, discussion and possible board action to provide One City United with $250,000 of opioid settlement funds in support of their One City Job Shop and Training Business Center.
I put this on the agenda, and one thing I want to make a part of the motion is that we ensure this is for programs, or programming, not capital improvements. Michelle brought that concern up with me this morning. And I can remember when I was the police chief, it had to be about 10 years ago, I was in a meeting with about 15 to 20 people. If I'm not mistaken, we were at Pathways. And the emphasis of the meeting was recidivism. How do we lower the number of people who are returning to jail or prison? Addictions, crime and violence in our communities. And I think that's the first time I met Dean. He was sitting across the room from me and he had a big old smile on his face, and I'm wondering what the hell is he smiling about, because this is some pretty serious things we're discussing. But then he explained programs involved with One City. And I went back to my office and I Googled it and I said, wow, this is just what Waterloo needs. And then we were blessed with this funding from the state, and this is the result. These are public funds, but these are not tax dollars. Our citizens didn't pay into this. Rightfully so, our state sued pharmaceutical companies for the abuse of opioids, and the state of Iowa entrusted counties with the distribution of this money. So with my experience with One City United and with my responsibility on the board, I thought this is the perfect fit for what we need to utilize this money for, because I believe it will positively impact recidivism, addiction, crime, and violence in our communities. And I'm not going to make part of the motion, but I encourage One City to approach Cedar Falls and Waterloo and have them pony up some money too. Because even though we are one county, and all the communities are included with Blackhawk County, Waterloo and Cedar Falls has skin in this game. So I encourage you to approach them. But I'm going to make a motion to provide One City United with $250,000 of opioid settlement funds in support of programming for their One City Job Shop and Training Business Center. The one thing that I really liked is John Deere is going to match whatever others contribute. Hawkeye is involved, and these are all important issues to me, because the one thing I'm always concerned about is duplication of services, but we've got buy-in from two significant institutions in regard to this program.
I'm going to second that motion. When I was 9 years old, I met my dad. My dad had a drug addiction and was in prison. And it was because of mentorships that he was able to pull himself to get right, to get back on track. Serves as an example for folks locally now. But it is because of those mentorships, those peers, that peer-to-peer, that he was able to right the ship. And so I really am appreciative, a little bit emotional clearly, for what it is that you all are doing. The spirit of that settlement was to improve people's lives. Improve people's lives who were most directly impacted by negligence. And the work that you all are doing is truly impressive. The statistics, the rates, all of that matters. The stories that you were able to share about the individuals, frankly, matters even more. And so, thank you for what it is you're doing. I enthusiastically second that motion for $250,000. Echo Dan's sentiments that our city partners should come to the plate as well, not just the private sector or county, but all sectors of all the public sectors should come in and support the program, because it really is an opportunity to transform lives, and through transforming lives, we can transform communities. So thank you.
I'm excited to support this today as well. I've had the opportunity to visit One City and even speak with one of their classes before, and it's just really impressed with the environment and culture of support that they've created there. And you can see they do wonderful work with little resources. They're able to stretch them out pretty far and do a lot of innovative stuff from dealing with people's transportation issues and other hurdles to employment that are very real. And so I think it's a really great place to invest. I just want to, for Michelle, for the public's purpose, do we know how much has come in so far of the settlement money?
So we've actually received about 562,000. That's from the first round of agreements we signed, and we expect over time, assuming they can all afford to fund it, we expect to receive $2 million from that. We have signed 5 more agreements, and final numbers have not been released on that. But I anticipate, again, over a number of years, that should be several $1 million. I'm guessing between 4 and 5, but that's purely speculation today. I would ask, if you choose to support it, that we will need some time to draft a contract, to get all our T's crossed and I's dotted.
I guess my questions are, and because I think when we heard the presentation, everybody thought it was a great program and a great opportunity probably for the youth, and those going forward, as well as those individuals that need to recapture their lives as well. When you mentioned programming, I guess because my concern had been okay, to identify those from the opioid use and recovery type of programs, how that would be a program that we would identify. There's so many other people and that can benefit from this program too, and not just opioid use, but how we would designate that, or if that was a problem at all, to designate for the use of these funds in their programming, how that would apply. Maybe that's part of the contract, but
I think we would want
Yes.
it to be, yeah.
I don't know how that would
I'm
be.
sure Dean can address that.
If you'd like, please.
Yes, obviously, 100% of the participants through our programs are not opioid addicted or have been in recovery from opioids. But yeah, that is definitely something that, as we write the contract, we can designate that money for that purpose.
Could you give us provide an update, since you're here today too, on the program since the last time you were here?
Oh my gosh! And
just
part of our challenge right now is that we had 33 people apply for our 12 spots in our program, and so we're in the process right now of planning to go into 2024 with a solid strategic plan to develop another classroom site. So we'll have 2 classroom sites, one on the east side, one on the west side of Waterloo. So that's our work right now, is to try to find a way to impact even twice the number of people we're impacting now.
So you have a location, then a second location?
Not yet.
Not,
no.
Oh, okay.
That's our planning going forward. We wanted to wait until we had too many people to fit into our program to be able to start another site. So we're at that place right now. Going forward, we're going to start that plan to be able to start another site. So
Appreciate that. I would love to vote in support of that project today. I probably would like more information, not so much on your project, but I said as we assess our community and the needs, and I think one of the things I gathered and we hoped that Michelle brought back from her conference was how we look at all the needs, and hopefully there are, we know there's several in the community from the opioid standpoint, but making sure that we're touching those areas as well, and then expending the funds as we need to accordingly. But that might all go for your program, for that matter. I can't say that it wouldn't, but that would be my only reluctance to vote today, is maybe on the amount, or maybe for the programming and identifying some of the needs and what those are. So not to discourage you, but in
no,
any way.
I do thank you for your consideration and for your diligence for the city of Waterloo and for the individuals in Waterloo that are really going through addiction and returning from incarceration. You mentioned incarceration. Our recidivism rate through our programs is 2%. So it's pretty much a home run.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
It is. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
It is. Great. And you say you had 33 apply. Now, of all 33,
we had
gonna be able
33
to-
apply, and we can only take 12. We
So
keep
then
our cohorts
12 are
small,
still-
so we keep that really strong, supportive environment. If you go more than 12, you end up with 2 groups instead of 1 solid group. So we just have people come back and enroll the next term, and we'll take 12 more.
So you've got 12 now in the
Yes.
Independence Avenue location? Great. And how's the transportation part of it working too? Because I said you were providing a tremendous amount of transportation, and that's been a need in the community, I think, for a long time.
Yeah. We're still transporting through our 2-Work program. We have a separate program called 2-Work. We're transporting 25 to 30 people a day. Obviously, we'd like to increase that as well, which takes resources and additional vehicles, additional drivers, and things like that. We've been doing it for years, so it's getting very solid. We're understanding the logistics of transportation business. I'll just say, if you want to start a transportation business, don't. It's a logistical nightmare.
You're right.
But we're getting the grips on that, and we're getting on top of that. And we've never had one person late to work or missed being picked up from work. So in a year, that's a pretty solid record. As far as getting people to and from class, this term has been different than our previous term. Our previous term, we were transporting 10 people. This term, we only have 3 that need transportation, that other than using the public transportation system, they're riding a bike, they're whatever it might be, they're getting to and from. The summer's much easier than when it's cold. So, yeah, it's all depends on the term. It all depends on what their barriers are.
Sure. Yeah. And then they just know to contact you and ask for transportation, because I saw
Yes.
it on the website. That was
Yes.
kind of so that's great.
Yeah, and that's open to, our 2-Work program is open to the community too. It's not just someone in a program at one city. It is open to the community.
Oh, that's
We
great.
just haven't necessarily advertised it in a large fashion just because we were building capacity.
Response,
We
yeah.
didn't want 100 calls a day, so we just kind of kept it underneath the radar for a little bit.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like I say, it's a great program. So nothing, yeah, the program sounds dynamite, so thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I mean, I do want to engage in as much of a kind of a community-wide conversation of needs and stuff, but with that said, I still feel comfortable that to invest $250,000 in what we'll be receiving today.
Okay. So that would be your resolution then, to support
Yes.
the 250 for programming?
Yes, for programming.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second, so please answer as your name is called.
Hall,
Yes.
Little,
Yeah, I'm going to support it. I kind of wish that we would get more agencies, because I think the more money that we can spread out in Blackhawk County, the better off we'd be. This is going to take half of our 550,000 almost. But if the majority of the board wants it, I'll support it today.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Leyland.
No, sorry. Thank you. Item B, resolution that Beth Van Langen, Financial Management Supervisor, Billy Joe Heth, Financial Management Supervisor, Scott Brown, Motor Vehicle and Operations Manager, and Ashley Bass, Property Tax Supervisor, be authorized to conduct investment and general office transactions in the absence of the Blackhawk County Treasurer, Linda Hinsman, effective June 12, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Then moved and seconded, and I believe when the ask is really, this is officially, I guess, adding Billy to it and effective June 12th as far as all the individuals, so thank you. There were no questions or comments. Please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item C, discussion, possible board action for the new print schedule deadline for legal notices. And I know Michelle sent out an email on that regarding the courier publications changing and what those would be, and I don't know if there's anybody who wanted to comment on that, or?
Linda, I checked with a couple of counties and also Isaac Legal, Ms. Harshberger up there. Pretty much knew what the answer was before I contacted them. The law, basically, it says 2 area newspapers. So we're kind of stuck. If it goes down to 1 someday, then I guess we just publish in the 1, even though the law says it. I know over the years I've been trying to get the legislators to change that. But like she indicated today, it calls very clearly for 2 area newspapers. And this is going to be somewhat a handicap for the county when they go down to 3 days a week, because we've got important stuff that has to be published on a timely manner. So I think it's something we're clearly going to have to keep an eye on.
I agree with Tom there. The state's going to need to kind of catch up with the changing dynamic of print newspapers. I mean, the Courier's publishing about as often as the Northern Iowan now, and so probably get better rate there.
We'll have to start publishing there. That paper. Any other comment? I was going to say, is there any need for board action? Anybody consider just this is kind of like for us to keep our eyes on and see what we can do, I guess, with the legislators next year?
Yeah, I just put it on in case there was some action, but there really isn't anything we can do at this time.
And
Okay.
for what it's worth, this has come up a few times over the past now 3 years. I think the solution lies either in, like Supervisor Little said, in just publishing the paper you've got in the county, or otherwise you can select maybe a neighboring county paper, perhaps Cedar Rapids, perhaps Des Moines, something you think might get to them to show good faith until they, like Supervisor Schwartz said, until they catch up, because something's got to change about this.
Thank you, Mike. Moving on to item D, resolution that the tax sale certificate assignment for a vacant lot, parcel 8913-24-476-010, located in Waterloo, Iowa, pursuant to 446.31 of the Code of Iowa, be approved, and said certificate of purchase of tax sale be assigned to the City of Waterloo as recommended by Linda Hinsman, County Treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there anyone wants to speak to this? I was going to say, is Linda present? Oh, anything you want to talk about these next few items? No? Okay.
Looks like Noel's here. We might as well give him
Yeah,
I'm just messing with you.
We're going to get him in a minute, yeah. Okay.
Linda, these are actually lots that have joined in their public safety garage. And I think they're looking at maybe future expansion of those buildings. So I think it just makes good common sense.
Okay, thank you. Linda, did you want to comment?
Nope, I wasn't sure if Tom had any more questions on that, but yes, Linda Hinsman, Treasurer, that is my understanding that is why the city is pursuing them.
And that's both parcels?
It is both parcels, yes.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no more comment, questions, please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item E, resolution that the compromise offered in the amount of $956 by the City of Waterloo on taxes owed for one vacant lot, parcel 8913-24-476-010, located in Waterloo, be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. If there are no comments or questions, please answer as your name is called.
Jelka.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item F, resolution that the tax sale certificate assignment for a vacant lot, parcel 8913-24-476-012, located in Waterloo, Iowa, pursuant to 446.31 of the Code of Iowa, be approved, and said certificate of purchase of tax sale be assigned to the City of Waterloo as recommended by Linda Hinsman, County Treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. No comments, questions, please answer as your name is called.
Hall.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item G, resolution that the compromise offered in the amount of $736 by the City of Waterloo on taxes owed for one vacant lot, parcel 8913-24-476-012, located in Waterloo, Iowa, be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? Hearing none, please answer as your name is called.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Jelka.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes, thank you. So City of Waterloo will move forward with expansion, is it? Great. Item H, motion that the personnel requisition for a technology support specialist full-time in the IT department be approved as recommended by Al Yu, IT Director.
So moved.
Morning, Board.
Mr. Moved and seconded? Or just moved? Okay.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
LU
Yes.
IT Director, we have a staff member that is retiring soon, so this is just a request to publish the position, the opening. Any questions I can answer for you?
Yes, you mentioned, I was going to say, as far as changing the job description.
Correct.
Could you-
So the job description and the job title is changing to better align with the current position. So this is a position that is similar to Corey's position that we have in our department.
Okay, so two identical positions, or when you say similar,
They will be identical. Mhm.
they will be, and so classified the same as well?
It's essentially the same job, just changing some of the verbiage on the job description.
But the classification,
It stays the same.
Okay.
Everything stays the same. Yep. It's just rewording the title and refining some of the duties.
perfect, thank you.
I know you provided the job description too, and we've talked a little bit about help desk.
Correct. That would be something down the road, maybe.
So neither of these positions, or this position would
No,
be
this is
help desk at
simply
all?
the same role, essentially.
Okay. So you're thinking of another one possibly coming down the road later?
Maybe down the road, yes.
So do we still need a help desk?
I think so, but that would likely be an additional FTE and of course, the board would have to approve something.
Yes, I was going to say, how are we handling that now?
We kind of just balance it all at once. Just, I mean, in a proper IT structure, there is a help desk person that will kind of field, they're kind of like the first line of defense, and they will field all the calls and then route the jobs from there. We're a smaller department, so we kind of just handle it all together. But it would be nice to have that formal structure down the road. Possibly.
So right now, everybody's kind of fielding those calls?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
And we're happy to do so. I mean, we're here to support the county, so.
Yeah, we know that. Thank you. Any other questions for Al? It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I would just like to add that I would like to personally thank Deb Stackhouse for 33 years of service to the county. I've had the privilege of working with her, and we're going to really miss her.
Sure, her last day's Friday, I believe.
It is
right?
Friday. Yeah.
Thank you.
It'll be a sad day. So.
Item I, motion that the personnel requisition for a finance specialist full-time in the treasurer's office with a start date no sooner than July 17th be approved as recommended by Linda Henson, treasurer.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item J, motion to direct the county auditor to advertise for a public hearing bid opening to be held at 9:05 on June 27th in the Blackhawk County Courthouse on the proposed purchase of network switches.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do you want to comment? Yeah, because it's been a while since we've seen this item, so.
Yeah, this is just to publish the RFP for network switches, and these switches they have already been pre-approved to be purchased with ARPA funds.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments for Al? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, work sessions, discussion for code enforcement. Rory Giving, please.
Good morning, Board. Rory Giving, Maintenance Superintendent.
Morning.
Thank you for allowing me to kind of discuss our code enforcement as it relates to county. I wanted to start off by just kind of explaining for those of you that may not be familiar the practice of how the code enforcement works within the county. So we Blackhawk County does have a memorandum of agreement with the City of Waterloo to provide code enforcement services. So our department within building maintenance works very closely with code enforcement with the City of Waterloo. In fact, just to kind of give you an idea of how that process works, when a complaint comes in, whether it's from a neighboring resident, maybe a department such as, we work with conservation, secondary roads. When they're out and about in the county, they'll let us know if they do see something that needs to be addressed. We have a procedure within our department. We fill out a form that we've developed, which essentially gives us the option to check the applicable code section that we feel that the property owner is in violation of. Then we send that over to our contact over at Code Enforcement. Then they go out, they review the area. If needed, they'll issue a notice Typically, they'll give them 30 days to correct an action. If it's not corrected, then a penalty goes in place. And so we try to keep the communication between our department and that code enforcement officer throughout that process. Another reason we do that is when we review our invoicing that we receive from the city, we can then reconcile that, and that's where we're looking at just wanting to, I just wanted to pitch a couple of thoughts to the board today. I'm not really looking for any action, but more so guidance if the board would wish me to move a little more forward with a couple of ideas that we have. And this is working with the City of Waterloo Code Enforcement Officer. One thing that the City of Waterloo does is they have an administrative fee that, and I think I provided that language to all of you, but the idea behind an administrative fee would be to try to curb some of the reoccurring issues that we see out in the county, particularly in the unincorporated areas. It's not uncommon for us to get multiple calls for the same address, for the same offense. And so what this administrative fee would do, it would hopefully give the enforcement officer a little bit more teeth into the situation. Hopefully it would promote this resident to not have a reoccurrence because there would be a fee tied to that. Again, they do follow this practice within the city limits. You know, you're going to have cases where you might have a rental and, you know, this notice gets sent to the person renting the facility. If it's not communicated with the property owner, it doesn't get paid, it gets assessed to their taxes. So I just wanted to get the board's thought on, you know, moving forward, maybe with some code language changes with regards to that, with the idea again of just helping maybe curb some of the reoccurrences that we see out there in the county.
You've said other cities have done this kind of with the escalating fees.
City of Waterloo is currently doing it, yeah.
Has that worked? Have they offered any input on that it's worked well for them?
In talking with the code enforcement officer, it's kind of hard to say because sometimes if you get these reoccurring events happening at a residence, it's you know, $100 administrative fee may not be enough to trigger them to go out and correct their property, but it's a step forward in trying to put a little bit more teeth in the process. So I haven't gotten a definitive answer of whether or not, yes, it's helped or not.
Rory, have you checked into, you talk about cities, have you checked into any other counties? If they have such a item for the rural area?
No, I have not.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And primarily, most of our issues are where?
Or say that again?
The issues that we have for code enforcement are where? In our communities within the rural areas or out in the farmers areas?
Yeah, most of our issues, I would say 99% of them are in our unincorporated areas of the county. You know, and people, I believe they move into the county, you know, to get away from some of those, you know, requirements that you would have within a city. But when you have these smaller unincorporated areas where you have houses close to each other, you've got a neighbor with junk vehicles and such, they may get issued a notice, they clean it up, and then 6 months later, you know, the junk is back. This is an additional, again, just a little bit more teeth into the process of trying to keep that property up to standards. So
Typically, we have any problem collecting the fee?
that I do not know. I know we've had a few cases where it's gone to court. Typically, I believe it'll get assessed to their taxes. Yeah. Michelle and I did pull up the line item within our budget that these fees would go into, and there has not been a lot of activity within that line item. I would like to think because once a notice is issued, it's corrected, and maybe they just don't get to the citation portion of that. Because it does escalate. I believe it starts off at, I believe 500, goes up to 750, and so forth. So, again, this is only for discussion. In talking with our enforcement officer, they brought this to my attention that, hey, this may be a way that we can help curb some of these reoccurring issues that we're seeing out there within the county.
Do we know approximately how many we get that are reoccurring, that?
Oh, gosh, since I've been here, I've seen addresses, same addresses come up many times.
Yeah.
I think one thing I want to try to balance as we think about changing the fee structure is, I'm trying to think of like the incidents someone might come into code violation just because they're, facing financial struggles and don't have like the resources to address and fix the problem, versus people that are just habitually violating. And maybe there should be the other thing that's also on my mind is just maybe that there should be a different tier. I know that we don't have like a ton of rental units out in the county, but just thinking about looking at the fees that the different owners of the Davenport Hotel received, and how it was just a slap on the wrist and not really a deterrent, and not enough pressure to really fix and repair things. And so I think if someone's making money off the property by having people live there, there should be a little bit higher level of scrutiny. So those are the two areas I'm trying to balance.
Kind of a renter versus landlord difference, but also the balance of the fee. Well, so many of them seem to be like just the cleaning up their areas or that part of thing, which really doesn't cause them to have to go out and pay any kind of fee if they would just keep the property clean.
Right.
That's like I think some of the incidents we've had recently that have come before us have been people that were interested in their property just looking.
If it's health concerns, garbage, road and so forth, the health department gets involved, and they have done different things out there. Basically on that side, I think the biggest thing that Rory's talking about is probably tall grass.
Well, yeah, we do, and that'll kind of go into my next topic that I want to talk about. But when it comes to code enforcement, we do get a lot of complaints for tall grass. We typically won't send out the enforcement officer for that because currently there's no language within our ordinance to enforce that. But a lot of times it's unregistered vehicles, trailers, vehicles parked in a right-of-way, just garbage piling up. Again, like you'd mentioned, Tom, there's been many times where we've had to have our health department involved because it could pose a safety risk if there's too much garbage piling up around the house. So those are some of the examples. Now, when it comes to items like tall grass, I do have another topic point that I wanted to talk about, and this is again just a thought. But if we look at our unincorporated areas, is there a way that we could draft our ordinance to address these unincorporated areas? For an example, if there's a residence within so many feet of another residence, could they fall underneath a different set of guidelines identified within our ordinance to address those issues like tall grass or maybe even enhanced nuisances? Barking dogs, things that you may see a little similar in the city limits. And I don't have an example of what that drafted ordinance would look like, but if that's something the board would be interested in doing, we can certainly get with the right people and put something together just to see what that might look like within an ordinance. Again, giving us a little bit more ability to enforce the homeowners to keep their properties looking a little better. You know, I may not propose exactly following the city, such as their 8-inch tall grass requirement, but maybe we do a 12-inch tall grass requirement, because I do think there needs to be some differences in our ordinance compared to what's in the city compared to what's out in the county in these unincorporated areas.
What areas are you talking about, Rory?
Well, for an example, like your Washburns, your Raymars, Dewars, those areas. I think one thought that I had was to identify not so much a particular area, but to say if your dwelling is within so many feet of another dwelling, maybe identify it that way to capture, not to pinpoint just to one particular community such as Washburn, but to say if your property is within 100 feet of another property, you fall under these certain guidelines within the ordinance.
Looking more kind of like at neighborhoods.
Yeah,
versus.
exactly.
I really like that approach because, this is folks' investment. Yeah, maybe there are some folks who decided to move out into the unincorporated parts of the county because of less stringent rules, but their properties are still impacted by their neighbors, and if they're that close,
right,
I think it protects everyone's interest.
Right, because it's hard for us to look at a property, let's say Washburn for an example, and we're treating that property the same as we would a farmer that's got 35 acres of land. It's unrealistic to think we're going to go in and tell this farmer that they need to mow their lawn or they need to put their equipment away. But when you look at this house that's within, so many feet of another house, it just feels like there's not much we can do about it as far as enforcing that, so.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah,
Like I said, I just think most of the people that we hear from is kind of a pride of ownership that something's, deflecting from their property, so.
Roy, do we have very many vacant houses in Washburn?
There are a few. We actually have one that's been on our list for a number of years, and we are struggling making contact with the property owner, but literally there's a tree limb growing through the soffit of the roof. There is a garage door that's hanging halfway down with the vehicle in the garage. We've done some research to try to figure out how to get a hold of the property owner to get in and get this cleaned up. But this is a property that I've actually worked a little bit with Michelle, and we may need to get Mike Trinan involved and maybe look at further steps to try to address this property, because it's really not fair for the property owners that are next door across the street to have to worry about maybe their kids or grandkids getting in this garage with a door that could potentially be a safety hazard.
Cities have historically been the ones who've utilized 657A, but that sounds like the exact type of property that legislation is intended for. So
we could do one of those, I think, fairly. I don't want to say easily, but the process is fairly straightforward.
Yeah, and I these the neighbors, they come to our office, and we try to do our best with what we have within our ordinance, and I feel for them, because there's no reason they should be able to sit out in their front yard and look at this every day. So,
and if they get to a point where they decide they want to sell, certainly when someone comes and looks at a house and you've got a tree growing through a garage across the street, that becomes a little bit of a buying issue.
Can you send us the address on that one?
I certainly will. Yeah.
I was going to say we've had.
Have you? Are you talking about the Raymar edition too?
Yeah, this would include the Raymar edition. Absolutely.
I think they've been calling recently.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
Have we had any assessments in the last year, 2 years, 3 years against properties?
No, I don't believe we have. Not to my knowledge.
The tall grass one might be a stretch. You might be able to do, like Chris indicated, a 2-tier, like for the homes, a rural area, you're going to get beaten up pretty bad on that one if you try to do anything. But heck, the county's got assessments on their own property on Lafayette Street for tall grass. Every year they build up.
Yeah, and again, I think we, I think we need to identify the areas of which we would enforce the tall grass, because again, people move into the county for reasons, but if you move to one of these areas where you have a neighbor within 50 to 100 feet, you shouldn't let your grass grow that tall, because it's going to introduce other issues then that will become a code enforcement that we could get the health department out there. You're going to get, potential varmints and what have you in that area, then that's going to snowball. But yes, I think you're absolutely right. It is going to increase the frequency. So then that goes back to this administrative fee. We're not looking at that to generate revenue, but more so to help curb some of these reoccurring issues. And so these kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, but the two houses we gave to Waterloo are lots today. There's years and years since 1999 of assessments, and obviously they're never going to ever be paid. So it's, you can do that, but and then as far as just fining them, you'd have to take them to court, and the court's probably going to cost more than what the fine is.
Right.
Well, if we could get some of the properties cleaned up, though, that'd be great, because I said they become sometimes traffic, and there are issues, I think, and concerns about some of the people can't see around
Absolutely.
corners and those types of things. So safety becomes involved too. So
Yeah.
So what do you need from us?
So
I
if the
know you
board
know what
wishes, I guess for today, I would like to know, would you like me to pursue this? I can work with our enforcement officer. I can work with the department at the city to come up with some language. Obviously, Mike will come up with some language on how we foresee this in our ordinance, and would like to come back at a later time and present that.
Yeah, and I would maybe suggest, if you're writing a portion about grass, that maybe we would set the enforcement like after like the middle of the month of May or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Give people opportunity to grow out for early pollinators in their lawns for a couple weeks at least.
Yeah, and I know, some cities have the no-mow May, and just to kind of be in line with that, yeah.
Cedar Falls do that again?
They don't.
Hey.
That was rough.
Mr. Sires? Yeah, no, I didn't think so.
Well, yeah, that's
Okay, yeah.
That's a whole nother time.
That gives you enough information, though, to
Thank
go
you.
forward. Thank you, Rory. Appreciate that. A lot of code enforcement issues. I was going to say, we did have the one on the barking dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get that
Hopefully-
resolved?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm hoping
Moving on.
part of what Roy's coming up with is assistance in addressing something like this.
Okay, super. Thank you. Rory's plate's pretty full, so you get right on that, right? Thank you. Okay, item B is discussion possible board action on American Rescue Plan at county projects. Anything anyone wants to question, ask about, present? No? All right. Any reports or information from the board?
Well, just our oversight meeting. Not everybody may not be happy, but it was productive.
Mm-hmm.
And we are moving forward. After I digested it, the one thought I had shied away from it a little, but I've come back to it, where we simply have dispatch fall under the full authority of the Board of Supervisors, and allow them to have an autonomous board, or the structure we set up is with an autonomous board, and that autonomous board be the E911 service board that's required by state code. And all the police chiefs in the county, the fire chiefs of Waterloo and Cedar Falls are on it, and then there's one representative for all the smaller town fire chiefs. What I'm uncomfortable with is the county, and Chris had a great idea for Michelle to provide us with data as to what dispatch would cost us as a county, because I think if we absorbed it all in one overnight, other departments would suffer. We would literally have to lay off employees to afford it. But if we spread it out over 7 to 10 years, could we incrementally absorb it? Because sadly, this funding fight it's a debate every single year. And I don't want to see consolidated communications fall apart, but I have no control over that. If Cedar Falls pulls out, Cedar Falls pulls out, so be it. We move on. But I think it was a productive meeting. Apparently, we're going to have meetings on a regular basis, and I think we should because it is an important issue. And on June 14th, the state and Motorola, the state's vendor, will be in Blackhawk County to conduct a coverage test to see what the state coverage is like, because we do have other options besides Raycom.
Is that something we want to do as one of the meetings? I was going to say, are they going to make a findings or report?
They will make a findings, yes, and once we get a report from them, I will share it with everybody.
Oh, I didn't.
I've been kind of the liaison with the Department of Public Safety. Once we get that, once we see what our coverage is, then Motorola can give us a cost estimate on what it'll take to get coverage up to our expectations. So at least we have options.
They're here on the 14th, then when do they think that would be provided to us, or how long will it take after that to?
Not long,
Oh,
not
okay.
long. They'll be here all day doing this test, and I would assume within a couple weeks, we will get the results of that coverage test. And I'll share it with everybody, all the mayors, the oversight board, or lack of oversight board, whatever you want to call them.
Which we're a part of.
Yep, yeah, I'm to blame.
Okay. Super.
Just a real quick update on the rebrand. We're going to do interviews with 3 agencies tomorrow, and so hopefully we'll have a conversation with the group after that, and have something to the board in the next week or so.
Great. Do you have anything, Chris? Tom?
No, thank you.
I was going to say, I'll only comment because I keep forgetting someone. We were asked, July 4th, the holiday falls on a Tuesday. So there's been some question on whether or not the board would like to meet on Monday or Wednesday or not at all. I suppose there's an option too, but yeah, or any other options. But
Wednesday, because if any of us want to have a long 4-day weekend, we could
I like Wednesday.
take advantage of that.
Wednesday works. Tom, Wednesday work for you as well?
Yeah, I think we've done that in the past, is just moved it to a Wednesday.
Okay, super. Okay, great. That was all. Anything else to come before the board? And I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.